Good morning. I will be your master of ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Albert Salinas, Assistant Dean of the South Campus. I am delighted to welcome you to our Memorial Day observance. Today, we pay tribute to our fallen heroes who have unselfishly given their lives for our country. We would also like to express our gratitude to our men and women of the military whose service and unwavering sacrifice allow us to continue enjoying the freedoms we sometimes take for granted. Before we continue with our program, I would like to recognize our board members, Ms. Cinda Mais. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Joe Regalado, retired Sergeant U.S. Marine Corps, to come forth and lead us in the invocation.
God manifests His Spirit and great love in each of us. For He created us in His image, in His divine image. He created us male and female. He created us as we were created, just a little bit less than the angels and crowned with God's glory. There is no greater love than this, to lay down one's life for his friends. This is the reason we are here today, to give tribute, respect, remembrance, and honor to the gallant men and women of our armed forces who obtained God's glory by laying down their lives for us and others who called upon their help. For they carried themselves as soldiers, and they did it with God's grace. May God bless their very souls and protect those soldiers who now stand in harm's way. Pray to your God as I do mine. May God bless this country in His love. May God clothe this country in His care. May God forever hold us and ours in His holy embrace and grant us peace for God and for our country. God bless America. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Regalado, for such a profound message. The posting of colors by Lyndon B. Johnson High School Navy ROTC is under the direction of Chief Kerry Tucker.
Color guard, forward, march! Center, space, freeze, set, colors.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting heat air gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star
carry, colors, ready, cut, left, face, forward, march.
Thank you, Chief Kerry Tucker and Mr. Ed Gonzalez for the national anthem. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Juan L. Maldonado, the president of the Laredo Community College, to introduce our keynote speaker.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Always a pleasure to welcome you to this very solemn ceremony. A ceremony that's extremely important not only for Laredo Community College, but for the city and for the state to always continue to recognize and memorialize the ultimate sacrifice that both men and women that served in the military have made, not only for country, but for friends. And so it's a great pleasure for me today to be able to introduce an individual that's very special to me. I've known this gentleman for many years. He's one of the kindest, noblest human beings that I've ever known. I've had the pleasure of knowing him since I was in middle school. We went to Christian together, we went to Martin High School together, we played football together, we were classmates. He's somebody that you never know who you're working with or who you're going to school with until later on in life, when you realize their accomplishments, when you realize the kind of character and integrity that they have. And I can tell you without a doubt that the gentleman that I'm about to introduce is somebody that has earned the greatest admiration and the deepest respect that I have for this individual. Joe is a Marine. And they say, once a Marine, you're always a Marine. Kind of like, once a Tiger, always a Tiger. So once a Marine, always a Marine. But Joe is a native Laredoan. He grew up with his parents and two sisters. He attended McDonald Elementary, Christian, Martin High School, graduated in the mighty class of 1967, with 4 members. He also was deployed immediately after graduation. He joined the Marines voluntarily in June of 1967. He was deployed to South Vietnam with the United States Marine Corps. He served as a rifleman and was assigned to the Quang Tri province, serving with the 1st Marine Division, 3rd Battalion, 26th Marines, India Company. Joe, from the get-go, I've known Joe was very special because, he's not the largest person in terms of physical size, but I know that when we played football, he was as tough as they come. And so I knew there was something special about this gentleman, and so he carried that same level of toughness and courage in his military duty. He served many life-threatening challenges in Vietnam, among which was serving in the bloody siege at Khe Sanh, in very, very difficult conditions, cold, rain, very little water, very little food, in a very, very difficult battle where there was approximately 5,000 Marines against 30,000 Communist Vietcong forces. He was awarded the Navy Achievement Medal with Combat V for Valor for serving with the 3rd Marine Amphibious Forces in connection with combat operations in Vietnam. He was recognized as an exemplary fire team leader in combined action with units composed of Vietnamese Popular Forces in the U.S. Marines squads. He also helped to organize and lead patrols, established ambushes, instructed the Popular Forces soldiers, conducted psychological operations, and participated in offensive operations. He greatly contributed to the security and national stability within the Thu Phong district. He participated in the following of operations against the Communist Vietcong forces: Operation Pegasus, Operation Scotland 2, Operation Rise, Operation Mameluke Thrust. He was discharged as a corporal, honorably discharged as a corporal, returned to Laredo, and completed 2 years of college at LCC. He married his high school sweetheart, Beatriz Adame. He is the proud father of 3 children and has 4 grandchildren. He has worked for the Department of Defense, the Department of Agriculture, U.S. Immigration, and for the last 10 years has served as the director of the Veterans Coalition here in Laredo. I'm very proud of this gentleman. Proud because he's a Laredo native, proud because he's a hero, military hero in my eyes, and most importantly, proud because I can call him my good friend. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Joseph.
Central Finance and the Marine Corps, always faithful. That's what you all here at Central Finance. I am honored to be speaking today on such an important occasion. We are here today to honor our service members and to remember the sacrifices they have made in honor of duty, honor country on this Memorial Day of service at Laredo Community College. The service members we honor today came from all walks of life, but they share several fundamental qualities. They possess courage, pride, determination, selflessness, dedication to duty, and integrity. All the qualities needed to serve a cause larger than oneself. I will be relating some of my military experiences. I'm going to turn the clock back to 1967. That year, after football practice, like Dr. Maldonado was mentioning, we were always getting together after practice, after track. We would hang around at the Martin High School, the high schooling, right across from Park Street. We would go there for a drink. And a lot of us veterans, we were talking about what are we going to do. The Vietnam War was escalating really bad. There was like 400 to 500 casualties a week. And I'm talking 1967. And a lot of my friends, compadres, Joe Yanda, Hidalgo de Hojas, to name a few, and we were talking, are we going to join the military? What are we going to do? So at the end of the school year, a lot of us, we went into different branches of the military. I chose the United States Marine Corps because I always wanted to go to the best military. I always liked the uniform to begin with. So I volunteered. When I volunteered and they knew that I was the only male in the family, they told me, you don't have to go to war. You're the only male in the family. But I was so naive and I wanted, very gung-ho, I wanted to join the Marines anyway. So I did. And that's what happened. I went to boot camp, MCRD in San Diego. And it was a wake-up call. The training was a lot tougher than what I thought. But it made a good man out of me, and all that went to boot camp, we realized that we were being trained for something that was coming. So that was it. After 13 weeks of hard training, they wanted us really bad. 1968, the Tet Offensive was beginning January the 21st, 1968. So they needed a lot of troops real fast, so they were rushing us to get out of, MCRD training, advanced infantry training. So that time we knew that we were going to El Toro, California. From there we went to Hawaii, Okinawa, Vietnam. They wanted us really bad. They put us in Pan American United Airlines. In 23 hours we were in Vietnam. So, wow, it was fast. So, once we landed in Da Nang, the second largest city in South Vietnam. Once they opened and we were boarding out of the plane, the first thing I saw was 20 body bags. And I was in shock, I said, wow, this is really serious. You could smell the poor bodies of this young Marines coming back. as we were boarding down, there was another file of Marines going off into the plane, coming back to the States. And I could see in their faces that they had been in a real bad situations. So from there on, I made a promise to myself. I'm not going to die in this country, and I stayed focused. I forgot about the earth, about the world. That's how we used to call it, the United States, the world. Because we were in a different place that it was entirely a very different country. So I stayed focused for the next 13 months. I didn't even want to write home. I didn't want nothing to do with writing to nobody. I just wanted to stay alive, survive. Once we got into the base, my base was food mine. They gave us our gear, M16, whatever that we were gonna get, and they put us in choppers. Once the rain stopped, like 2 days later, they put us in choppers and they just flew us in different directions. And I knew where I was going. I had a good feeling. And that was an outpost by the DMC, Quezon. Quezon was an old French outpost during the French War in 1950s, when the French were in Vietnam. So anyway, that outpost, was overrun in January the 21st. When I got there, everything was in rumble. We had an air base, but we couldn't get any supplies by plane anymore because the runway was completely destroyed. So they hit the ammunition demo that we had there in Quezon. So we were out of ammo, we were out of water. So we were drinking tomato juice for the reason that there was a mess hall at one time. So we were drinking tomato juice for the next, I don't know how many days, 4 or 5 days instead of water. And that was our source of liquid. So there, it was a very challenging place to be. You couldn't be outside the bunker because incoming was coming from all places. The Viet Cong and the NDA were really around that outpost. And they were shooting at us at all times, snipers. So we had to be inside the bunkers. At night, we would come into the trenches and man the perimeter. And the Viet Cong, we could hear them back down on the hill, and they were always hunting us, But the thing that really made it to another level of my life was that, our platoon commander told us fix bandits. And when I heard that word fix bandits, my life went into a different level. You start acting, what are you gonna do? You're gonna die in this spot. If you gotta pull back, where are you going? All these things go through your mind. And from there on, it was just like that. Finally, we were also going to different hills around Quezon. Hill 881, 861, they would move us around for the reason that they might hit the hill next to us. So they would move us around, so it would be, they needed manpower. So that's what happened there. Anyway, I survived that Battle of Quezon. We abandoned Quezon, we went to Factory. From there, we got some hot meal, new fatigues, clean fatigues. They put us on a C-130 the following day, and we went to a different operation. And that was around the Da Nang area. And, it was very challenging. We would go into the mountains and just go on offensive, after the NBA, Viet Cong. It was 24/7 job. There was no Sundays for us. Sometimes we would eat 1 meal a day, sometimes we would not even eat a meal. During the monsoon season, they don't fly. We don't get resupply. Unless if there is a casualty, they might try to do that, pick them up. If you get hit, you'll probably die living in the fields, in the jungles. It was very hard to pull you out of the jungles. As the technology was not like it is today. And so we were challenged by a lot of different things in our life. But anyway, I was able to cope with all this. I got back around July of 1968. I had a real bad case of jungle rot. We would walk through the elephant grass, and we would get cut. you don't take a bath for a month, 2 months, and it gets very infected. So I got medevac. Once in country, I went through some penicillin shots. Then I volunteered to join an elite group. They call it a CAC unit. A CAC unit was a squad of Marines, and we were training a platoon of South Vietnamese. Most of those South Vietnamese soldiers were very young, and they wanted to be like us. They wanted to imitate us, you know. They were good. We could trust them. But the older ones, you could not give your backs on them. It was very challenging. At night, we don't even sleep. You know, we would just keep ourselves, you know, on the watch, always looking at our going back to Marine Corps, you know, the squad of Marines. And usually the Marines, we were never a squad. It was only like 7 or 8 of us instead of 12 men, which is a squad of Marines. After that, you know, I had like 450 combat patrols, you know, during that CAC unit in 6 months, you know, so we were always on the move. We never stay in one place, because if you stay in one place, you give yourself up. At night, they would hit you, and we're always constantly moving. 24/7, you know, there was no breaks for us, no Sundays, no church. But my faith brought me back. Really, that's what pulled me back, bring me back to reality, and I came home. I came home in 1969, and we landed in Treasure Island, San Francisco, and that's where we got our separations, you know. And the only thing that we know, that at that particular time, the country was so divided. We were coming back with a lot of different issues, you know. PTSD didn't even existed, you know, and we were in combat 1 week. The following week, we were in the United States, and we had to act like normal people. We couldn't. But, you know, we tried the best we could, and, you know, we didn't get any counseling, and they just gave us our separation papers. But the worst thing about it was that the country was so divided, and there was the anti-war movement going on. I'm going to take a sip of water. And that's what hurt us the most. You know, seeing our own people against us, like blaming us for going into war. We were doing our best. We are very proud Americans, Hispanics in Laredo especially. We've always been there, and we never back away from anybody. And you know, it took me a lot of years to become a better person. And when I say a better person, was to realize that I had to do something with myself. You know, I was drinking to a point that I was almost an alcoholic. My best thing was that I came back to school, and that's where I met my wife, Beatriz. And that changed my whole world. After so many years, you know, I realized that to become a good citizen, I have to put everything behind, you know, and I did. I was able to become a good citizen. You know, I've never had any problem with the law, never. And I became a good citizen. Worked for 30 years with the USDA, and I worked 8 years in between with the U.S. Immigration as an import. Port of entry inspector. And this is the last 10 years I've been working with the Laredo Veterans Coalition and trying to help the needy veterans, indigent veterans that are having a lot of issues, and that reminds me of myself. And but anyway, I became a productive citizen, and there's a lot of good people here, a lot of veterans that I cannot name everybody. Elizalde, I want to go by last names: Elizalde, Silva, Fernando Reyes, Jerry Valdez, Joe Sarabia, Ed Gonzalez, Mr. Doug Alfred, Tony Martinez, Denny Herrera, Mr. Sandoval, Juan Castañeda, and if I'm leaving anybody out, I'm sorry. Joe Gatza, I know he's here. And my good friend Rafael Ramos. I want to talk something about Rafael Ramos. He's very special to me. He's very special to me. He's a fellow Marine, but not only because of that. You know, he was in Vietnam 1964. They were 65. They were the first ones to land in Vietnam. After that, he came home. He was married, and I know a hardship to be married and being half around the world, 14,000 miles away, and having to always be thinking about your family. But the thing about Rafael was that he came back. He stayed in the Marine Corps, and he became a DI. A DI means a drill instructor. He trained a lot of Marines, young Marines, and all these young Marines went to Vietnam. And I know for a fact that he thinks about these young men. A lot of these young men never came back. And that's why I wanted to mention his name, because I know sometimes he's probably in his mind thinking, you know, I trained this guy, these young Marines, they never made it back. So I wanted to really recognize Rafael Ramos as a good friend of mine and my mentor, really. And he always keeps me straight. I forgot to mention Juan Segovia. This man here has a lot of energy, you know, for his age. He never stops. So he keeps me moving too. I forgot to mention Carmona, a Marine también, and he's a Vietnam veteran. Julie Basan, she's always been there for us. Always. She's like a veteran. To me, she's a veteran. She's a wonderful lady, helping veterans and Navy veterans with food, and we aid each other, and we talk very often. Millie Slaughter, I know her for so I don't know how many years, but she's always been great, very supportive of veterans. And I'm sorry, Cantu, I have Cantu here, a veteran also, Break Cantu, Abrego, and Mr. Mares, I'm sorry, like I mentioned, I can't remember all names. My children here is Belinda Soto. She's a teacher and educator for 17 years. My wife, Beatriz Soto, which is my wife for the last 45 and a half years. My grandson, Joseph, my son, Joey. I have another son, Javier Soto, but he lives in Pflugerville. He's too far away to be here with us. And he has a little daughter, a year and a half, Emily. And I also want to give special thanks to Angelita Nunez Gomez, Coordinator, Donor Relations, Special Projects. I also want to recognize Dr. Juan Maldonado for his leadership at Martin High. Class of 67, he was the president of our class. President of the Rio Community College. I want to say very few things here. Dr. Maldonado. You know, he was a leader in our class of 67. He was our class president. But not only he was, you know, an elite person, you know, in the academics field. On the football field, we were playing against San Antonio teams that they were like twice as big as us. Juan Maldonado, I'm going to call him Juan because he's a very good friend. Juan was a middle linebacker, and he only weighed like between 160 and 170 pounds. And I always say, how can he go against fullbacks 240 pounds from Brackenridge, you know, Dwight Harrison, that guy went to play for the Chicago Bears, and here's one really in the middle of the field, the middle linebacker, if you know about football, you're in the middle of the field on defense, and you're trying to stop from them to advancing, making yards, and here's one making tackles after tackles. And I've had you in my mind all this one. I don't know if you were able to cope with that. You went on and you got your doctorate degree and became president of LC RCC, and for that, I really recognize you. I'm very proud. I also want all Purple Heart recipients to stand up and be recognized. Purple Heart recipients. Freddy Bernier, Hector Gomez, and my friend, his last name is Carmona. I'm sorry. But that's how we used to know him in high school. He's a fellow Marine, and I respect him a lot. A lot. And not only because he's a Marine, but because he's a good friend of mine. Jerry Valdez, I didn't mention your name, Jerry. Like I said, I'm sorry, our graduation is not Orlando Cepeda was our class of 67 too, and he was a band. You were in band. I know you weren't. Yeah. And I guess this concludes. Your presence here today and that of the people gathering all across America is a tribute to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for love of country. Thank you again for attending today. God bless you and your families. God bless our troops, and God bless America. I have an uncle that died during the Normandy invasion. That was my mom's baby brother. His name is Simon R. Perez. He never came home. He died in Normandy. He was with the 84th Division, the Army. When they invaded, they landed in Normandy. They threw so many divisions, so many soldiers. They had a number only. And on Saturday we went to put flags to all fallen heroes, all deceased veterans. And I went to his plot, where he's buried. And I took my daughter and my grandchildren so they know that he's buried there. I do have a picture of him. He never got married. His roots were cut down. I just wanted to mention his name because he never got married. He never had a family. And I know there's a lot of veterans that went through the same thing. Thank you very much.
As you can see and hear by the comments of Joe Soto, there's one thing that I've always known about him, even when we were young men, is that he's so unselfish and always thinking of others. In the conversations when we occasionally get together for breakfast or we meet somewhere, his topic of conversation is never him, it's always somebody else that is doing something. He's extremely proud of his family, so I'm glad that you all could join him today. He tells me about his grandkids getting involved in track, and he loves to be out there with them. I mean, he's one of those exceptional individuals that not only has adjusted well to a very difficult experience in the Vietnam War, but also somebody that continues to give back, not only to his family, but to his community. I'm so proud of this gentleman, and I'm so honored to be able to call him a friend. So thank you, Joe, for everything you've done and for continuing to us. God bless you. This concludes the ceremony, folks. As always, we're deeply grateful that you're here for this very, very solemn event, important event. There should be some refreshments upstairs, so we can continue our conversation. I'm sorry, I'm missing something. I apologize. I did that last time I was here at another meeting. I got so emotionally involved in what I was feeling and saying that I forgot to continue the program. But at this point, let me introduce Dr. Salinas to introduce the last component of the program.
I apologize, I have to put my glasses back on. We're going to get ready to conclude, but we're going to do the performance of task by Dr. William H. Wazinski, Captain, U.S. Army Reserve. This concludes our program. Thank you very much. You may join us for refreshments at the lobby area.